Hey everybody, welcome back to Modern Randy. I am Randy, and today I'm talking about one of the newest decks to break out in the format. And of course, that is Jeskai Control, Jeskai the One Ring, Jeskai Energy, whatever you want to call it. That is what we are talking about today. Obviously, it just got second place or first place. There's been some confusion about what actually happened in the biggest 20K we just had for Modern, hosted by the Laughing Dragon. So thought I'd go over it today and explain kind of what's going on, why this deck kind of been taking off, and what it means for the modern format as a whole. As always, guys, if you like what I'm doing, like what you're seeing, leave a like on the video, leave a comment about anything you think I'm doing right or wrong, or any kind of decks you think you want me to showcase, as well as subscribe to keep up with all the content that I'm putting out. And here we go. Without further ado, this Jeskai control list. So it is playing the energy package is what I'm calling it. Basically, the 12 cards here that you want to play if you're playing energy. We have 4, tune the narrative, draw a card, get 2 energy, 1 blue. Not too complicated to understand what you're doing with this. We have galvanic discharge, instant 1 red. You get to choose a creature or planeswalker. You get 3 energy. Then you can spend X amount of energy to deal that much damage to the permanent. So obviously with that, excuse me, it's a little bit better than the lightning bolt or things like that, where you don't have to worry about it being a 4 toughness, or you don't have to worry about turning Unholy Heat on. You can just kind of hit and deal with a lot of these problematic permanents by itself, as well as just being a great removal spell. Remove a 2-drop or a 2 damage spell or 2 damage creature early on. Then you have 1 energy left over. 3-4 turns later, you're removing a 4-drop now, or a 4 power creature or toughness creature, because you had 4 energy from the 3 and the 1 from the original. And then of course the Wrath the Skies. So it is 2 white sorcery X. You get X energy. Then you may pay any amount of energy to destroy each artifact, creature, and enchantment with mana value less than or equal to the amount of energy you paid this way. So really good card just to wrath the board with. Especially good in the sense of, you go turn 1, tune the narrative, a couple turns later, you can wrath the board for essentially just 2 white if you're just hitting, 2 or less creature, or 2 or less permanents, not land permanents. Really great just card that has kind of really impressed me with how good it is. It's almost unreal with how good this card has been, or how it is doing in the format. Just being able to hit all these low to the ground creature decks, remove a lot of problematic permanents, just amazing card. And then on top of what we are playing here for the new set, we'll go over real quick. We're playing 3 of the Phage, Titan of Fire's Fury. Card has been ridiculously impressive. It is one white, 1 red, 1 generic for a 6/6. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice unless it's escaped. And then you have, whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you deal 3 damage, you gain 3 life, and then you escape it for 2 red, 2 white, and exiling 5 other cards from your graveyard. Card has just been a powerhouse. We've seen it in multiple different decks. We know why this card's good. No one's kind of surprised to see this here in play, but it is definitely doing a lot of work here, being able to help stabilize your life total, remove different creatures, things like that. Just great. And then it's a very easy game ender where you're attacking and you're doing 9 damage at a time essentially. And 1 invert polarity instant here for 2 blue and a red. You choose target spell, then flip a coin. If you win the flip, you gain control of that spell, and if you may choose new targets for it, and if you lose the flip, you counter that spell. Really, this card is just counter target spell or win the game. It is an amazing ability just to be able to get around the protection that like Cavern of Souls or Uncountable Spells give you, and it's just great, honestly, to see it, see what it does. It's fun to play with. It gives a little bit of that 50-50 chance gameplay that everyone likes, and it's just, at worst case, it's a cancel. Best case, you're stealing permanents from your opponent. Awesome. No notes. And then to round out this, we have 1 Spell Snare, because Spell Snare has become really playable in this format. We have a lot of 2-drops running around that you want to counter, need to counter type thing, as well as we have a bunch of control decks running around, so being able to Spell Snare your opponent's counter spell is kind of huge. We also are running one Snapcaster Mage. We're seeing Snapcaster Mage back in Modern. It's happening, guys. Modern is healing. Finally. Snapcaster is a playable Modern card. Not only is this deck playing Snapcaster, which I think eventually it might go up on more than just the one copy of Snapcaster Mage, we have, you know, the blue-red Witcher's deck that is running around that is playing Snapcaster Mage, so as a 3 to 4 of. So it's nice to see this card come back into the format and be playable again. I have missed him. And of course we're playing, you know, 4 counter spells. We are a control deck. We need to control our opponents. We're playing 1 Force Negation here in the main, just as a good catch-all to when, you know, we want to tap out, things of that nature. Playing 2 Subtlety. Don't need to explain why this card's good. You know, being able to stop your opponent, being able to stop grief on turn 1 so they can't grief scam you, things like that. 4 Solitude, same reason, great card. We know why it's good. And then we're playing 2 Teferi Time Ravelers here in the main, just, again, good control card. Bounces problematic permanents. Stops your opponent from playing on your turn. Shuts down the control mirrors. It all makes sense. 1 Lorien Revealed to help us, you know, get through and find our lands when we need to early and draw 3 when late game. 1 Dramatic Ending. This is another removal spell in case the 8 removal spells between Galvanic Discharge, Wrath of Skies, and then the other 3 between Fades isn't enough. We have 1 more just as a little catch-all, and then 4 rings, because why would we not play the 1 ring when we can? Let's throw a bunch of cards, let's get protection for everything. Sounds like a great plan to me. Good card, don't need to explain why this card is playing it, but this is a deck that has been taking over and doing quite well in the format, which is weird, because I know anytime that we usually have a change in the modern meta, or you have a big influx of cards, like with Modern Horizons 1, 2, and now 3, usually control is not seen for a couple weeks, if not a couple months after the metagame has, you know, kind of settled down, and we know what we need to play, right? We know what we need to be doing as a control player. So usually you don't see this right away. So it's kind of crazy that control has come out of nowhere. I think honestly what has to do with it is it has a much more proactive game plan than control normally has. You have the Flage, which is a great win con by in and of it by itself. We have the much better removal with the Wrath of Skies, Galvanic Discharge, and then the 1 ring is just such a great card that I think it just helps elevate all the other decks, or any deck that's playing it. But, you know, this deck is solid. Like I said, it got first or second in that last 20k we just had over the past weekend. So, definitely showcasing it that it has power to take down a tournament. Definitely showcasing that it's here to stay, I believe, as well. I've seen this deck quite a little bit. I've run into a lot on the ladder, or not, sorry, not on in the leagues, things like that. So it's not too surprising to see that this deck is doing well. And then I'm going to quickly go over to the sideboard with some. So if anyone who has played Control knows, your sideboard kind of changes a lot. So this is what this gentleman was playing when he played it. Obviously, you know, you can change on the sideboard. You can do what you need to for what you expect to see, what you think you're going to see, all that fun jazz. But playing 2 Consigned to Memory, another new card from MH3. It is 1 blue. It has Replicate for 1 generic. So when you cast a spell, you can copy for each time you pay the replicate cost and choose new targets for the copies. And of course, it counters target ability or colorless spell. So this is really good for the Eldrazi. Obviously, being able to counter any, you know, colorless spell is huge for 1 blue mana. And then the counter target trigger ability lets you help counter like Storm and things like that nature. Just a really good ability as a whole. We're also playing 2 Stern Scoldings. Being able to have 1 mana counter spell is just great for all the creature decks that are running around. It's not too surprising this is being played. We see Grief is still being hugely played, things like that, just great. And then we have a Mystical Dispute, 2 Force Negations, and 2 Domin's Vetoes here for any kind of the control matchup or any kind of matchup where you're wanting to counter something. Just you're getting to counter a spell. I imagine the Mystical Dispute might be there almost as a nod to Merfolk, which has been popping up a little bit. I can see them playing it because of that. Just the blue decks in general. Like I said, we have the blue-red Wizards deck running around. Blue-red Wizards deck that's been running around. Force Negation, obviously, for any of the combo decks, things like that running around. Same thing with Force Negation, or same thing with Domin's Veto to go along with the Force Negation. Then we have 1 Soul-Guide Lantern there as for the graveyard decks, things like that nature. 1 Dampening Spirit to help out against the big mana decks, as well as the Storm deck that's running around. 2 subtleties there. I had to imagine it's also for the big mana decks, as well as probably scam running around, things like that, just being able to slow down scams so they can't do that. And then Celestial Purge is also there for all the black decks running around for sure, as well as it helps hit Flage as well. It's a permanent answer to Flage, which is very nice to be able to hit Flage and just like gone, done, don't have to deal with it type deal. So obviously, I'm sure this sideboard is due to change depending on what you think the meta is, what the meta shapes out to be, things like that. This is what this gentleman played, though, so obviously it worked out well for him. He got first or second. Like I said, there's been a little bit of dispute about if they misreported that and he actually got first. I don't know what the true story is, whether or not he got first, whether he got second. It doesn't matter. Deck took down a 20K tournament. Clearly, he's doing something right. Clearly, deck was doing well. Obviously, it matters to the gentleman who either won or got second place. I'm sure that price support is vastly different between first and second, but in my mind, it doesn't matter. You top 8'd, you got to the finals, still showcases the deck's doing well. But this is definitely a deck that I think is here to stay. I think that it might change over time, obviously, depending on the meta. We'll see the sideboards, maybe some main deck cards and stuff like that. But this is definitely something I'm excited to play. This is probably going to be the deck that I'm going to start just jamming a lot of already. If something I really like, I've always enjoyed the control decks, and this is just right up my alley. As always, guys, if you like what I'm doing, you like what you're seeing, feel free to give a like to the video, leave a comment, all that good jazz. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up. I'll see you guys for the next time.